So ESPN's two biggest personalities had a little personality clash, and according to reports, it resulted in Pat McAfee being banned from First Take. Um, I was tagged on this story, and I definitely had to talk about this one because this is a case of a person who has the leverage versus a person who thinks he has leverage. And in case you don't know what I'm talking about, Pat McAfee does not work for ESPN. Uh, his show basically was agreed to air on ESPN, and as a result of that, Pat McAfee is getting a substantial amount of money to air his content. Pat McAfee still has all the creative rights and creative control of his show. All ESPN does is airs it, but all the creative direction and all that's from straight up from Pat McAfee. Because remember, Pat McAfee was under FanDuel before he inked that deal with ESPN. Could converse that with you know that line grifting con artist Stephen A. Smith, and it's not lost upon me, Stephen A., that you ran that fictitious story on Mark Jackson's podcast. I'm gonna talk about that in another video, but yeah, you out there concocting that bullshit ass story about how you shot basketball while the drug dealers were, you know, not running their business while you were doing that. Get the fuck out of here, man. You just out there believe that bullshit if you want to. What's up, Polo? He says his contract expires this year. Okay, you did all that to score a point and a half. Them drug dealers, right? That you say, let you tell it, right? Them drug dealers didn't had the block hot while you were shooting basketball, only to score a point and a half. The fuck out of here. No, you goddamn liar. Anyway, so these two, right? Because this man thinks he got stroke. But that's why he decided that he was going to start his own podcast on YouTube, the Stephen A. Smith Show, because he didn't want to make that same mistake twice. So that's why he started his own podcast. But he still got to go to his bosses on ESPN. He still got to get the permission to, talk about certain things. So is it really your own show, Stephen A? Anyway, coming from the Daily Mail, ESPN talents Pat McAfee, Stephen A. snitch, recently became embroiled in an explosive argument that led the former being banned from First Take. Tensions between the two hosts arose during a private phone call conversation a few weeks ago, with tempers flaring to the point where Pat McAfee called Stephen A. Smith a motherfucker, according to the New York Post. The bitter argument is said to have been triggered by creative differences over a future project, which will be aired on ESPN and produced by Stephen A. Smith's own company. So apparently, Stephen A. got his own production company now. What's up, Marco Hinton? What you say? I wish Clarence Big House Games were here to talk. Yeah. Yeah, I wish he was here too, bro. I wish he was here too, because, what he said on Mark Jackson's show was complete bullshit. He sounded like, oh boy, what's his name? Looking like goddamn on Brian Pumper. What the fuck is that reverend's name? Oh, what the fuck is his name? Thick ass Lloyd Banks. What the fuck is his name, man? Daryl Scott. That's his name. Daryl Scott. Daryl Scott was running around here talking about, yeah, I called the Top Gang thugs out of Chicago so we can have a meet, so we can get that body count down. That was Stephen A. Smith sound like, you know what I'm saying? Sound like a goddamn pork chop preacher concocting that bullshit ass story. Anyway, their relationship in the aftermath of the feud apparently soured so much that Smith exiled McAfee from appearing on First Take, which he hosts, and McAfee guest starred on weekly segments throughout the NFL season. However, both sides are said to have resolved their differences and put the dispute behind them. So, of course, they will come out and say, little things here and there that's going to quell the beef. But the truth of the matter is, both these guys, you know, basically trying to show who got the biggest stroke. And clearly, Pat McAfee has the biggest stroke. And this is another thing that isn't talked about, right? Stephen A. wants to be the highest paid employee on ESPN. He's made it known that he wants to be the highest paid. He did some name dropping like Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. Pat McAfee's another guy that's getting more money than him. And I think the only other person that's getting more money than Stephen A. Smith is Mike Breen, because he does the NBA coverage. He's the lead commentator. But Stephen A. has made it his point to where he wants to be the highest paid employee. Now, he's talking about $20 million a year. That's the number that he is, targeted, $20 million a year. So I guess he's going to use his, Stephen A. Smith show on YouTube as a backdrop or as some kind of leverage to try to get him that money. But yeah, he jealous. You definitely right, Marco. He definitely jealous of Pat McAfee. Still don't discount the fact that he's a buck dancing sellout. So Pat McAfee is making major moves, and you got Stephen A. Smith, who is aspiring to make major moves. That's what we got here. That's what we got here. But anyway, I find it also funny that Stephen A. Smith is staying far away from certain topics, right? Why is he talking about the whole PED thing with LeBron? I mean, that would be a hot story or whatever like that. But that's for another video as well. But yeah, you guys let me know what y'all think about this. This ain't nothing more than a dick sizing contest, if you ask me. You had two alpha males. One's a true alpha male. One wishes he was an alpha male. Because he thinks just because he has a platform and they give him all this money, that makes him legitimate. That makes him think he got some say. Like his say is the end all be all. If you're not subscribing to this channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and share these videos on your social media platform. I've been getting a lot of subs lately. The channel's been blowing up. I thank everybody for tuning in. I thank everyone for subbing to this channel. Hey, and if you hate me, fuck you. You know what I'm saying? If you hate me, fuck you. If you rock with me, then you know what I'm saying? Let's build and grow this thing together. Shouts out to the LDBC. This your man. Scream at me. Ho!